Okay, and we definitely screwed the pooch.
No, it's fine. I think everything is going to be fine.
Season 2.
Season 2 of Wiki Wiki.
That's not how this works.
Hello, everybody that's joining us. This is our second episode of Wiki Wiki What? We're a random knowledge podcast where you'll probably learn something whether you like it or not. My name is Dana.
I'm Chris.
And I am Jake. And for those of you who are just joining us or who have joined us before, this show is where we choose Wikipedia articles at random that start with the same letter, learn about them, and then talk to each other about them. We keep our articles secret from each other until recording, and I'm pretty sure we picked the same one this time.
Yeah, so we're going alphabetically. This is the second episode, so I'm hoping that you guys can understand what the next letter is going to be, and we're doing the letter B.
The letter B, and oh my god, I hope this works out.
So I think we're going to do a little a teaser for what each of our topics are. I think Dana, you should start us off.
Oh yeah, okay, great. God, this is going to be terrible, isn't it? So mine is an ancient piece of weaponry.
Oh, all right. I'm ready.
I don't have anything beyond that. I couldn't come up with anything.
I think that works. And for you, Jake,
can I just go?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Are you sure that this is what you want to do?
I want to see what happens.
Are you trying to steal it so that Chris is completely screwed over?
No, it's just I feel really confident we chose the same one, and I just want to pull the Band-Aid off.
I like it. Go for it.
Okay.
All right. So this week, I chose the banana.
So did I.
All right. So let's see.
Oh my god. So it's already happened. This is the second episode.
This is what we talked about in the pilot. We were like, surely, I mean, this is the thing I was telling you about today. You're like, dude, there's only 3 of us, and there are so many articles that start with B, and I was like, even still. So, I'll start.
Yeah, you start. I'll fill in as I have things to add.
Are you guys prepared to take up almost 40 minutes on the banana?
I mean, it really depends on how much side
we could do
information
this.
we got. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All
so,
right.
I'll start with some basic facts. Okay. So, the banana is an edible fruit, botanically a berry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's produced by several kinds of large herbaceous flowering plants in the genus Musa. So, the Musa grows to be as tall as a tree, but it's not woody, so it's actually a giant herb. So, banana trees aren't real, they grow on herbs. So, in botanical terminology, a berry is a fleshy fruit without a stone, and berries include things like grapes, currants, tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplants, and bananas, but not strawberries and raspberries.
Right.
However, in everyday language, berry is a small, pulpy, edible fruit, usually juicy, round, brightly colored, sweet or sour. Do not have a pit, but may have seeds. So, it's okay to call a berry, if that's what it is, right?
I feel like Chris should just be making, like, even though he's doing the same thing, he should be making, like, counter arguments.
Yeah, a banana is not a berry. No, it is.
It is.
No, totally is.
All right. So, the most common kind of banana in the United States is called a Cavendish banana.
Mm-hmm.
And that is half of the bananas entering international trade. So, when you think of a banana, you think of the Cavendish banana. It's long, it's curved, it's yellow. That's a banana.
Right.
This is what you think of. However, prior to the 1950s, the most common form of banana was known as the Gros Michael, a.k.a. Chris.
The Gross Michael.
Big Mike.
Chris, if you're gonna do the same article, you got to be there with the tag team,
right?
He's
you got to be.
I went a very different direction with my details.
All right, this is great. This is going to be good then.
Yeah.
All right, so
The dark side of the banana.
yeah, Big Mike.
What you didn't know.
Yeah.
Right. So prior to the 1950s, Big Mike was the dominant export banana to Europe and North America and was grown in Central America. However, in the 1950s, a lot of the banana crops in Central America started to wilt and were eventually wiped out by the oxysporum fungus
Yep.
called Panama disease.
Yes.
It was called Panama disease because that's where it was first diagnosed.
Yes, Panama disease is a disease that enters the plant through the water source, producing gels and gums that clog the plant, blocking water to the whole plant, causing it to wilt.
That is correct.
That was a really impressive handoff. I think you guys can handle this.
It's true.
It's going to be easy. It's going to be easy. Anyway, banana crops are especially susceptible to disease because bananas are propagated through vegetative reproduction, like leaf cuttings and things like that, rather than sexual reproduction. So, all banana plants are genetically identical and cannot evolve disease resistance. So
It's the same thing with apples, right? Apple trees are the same way. You have to splice the branches and stuff.
Yeah.
Like to make this is true.
That's true.
Like,
that is true.
You actually have to
I thought
splice,
you had no clue and
you
we're
have
just
to
agreeing.
you have to splice the branches of two different kinds of apple trees together to get another apple. You're literally hybridizing the apple by like weaving the body of the tree. It's pretty gnarly, actually.
That is true. If you just try to plant apple seeds, you'll just get like random weird apples.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what isn't that Johnny Appleseed? Like the gross majority of what apple trees were planted were just like horrible crab apples.
Yeah, they made cider out of them instead of eating them.
Right. Yeah, it's true bitter.
Yeah. So, all of the plants got this fungus and they all died. Well, not all of them. There's still some in Asia, but in the 1950s, they were like, oh man, we were like these bananas. We got to get some new bananas. So they started searching for a cultivar of banana that is resistant to Panama disease. And they came up with...
And that banana is what, Chris?
I don't have that. He's going in a different way.
It's the Cavendish banana.
I'm going to keep you guys on your toes. You know this, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
so they didn't stop the disease. They just tried to make one that was resistant. Bummer, though, it turns out Cavendish bananas are also not immune to Panama disease. And the bananas we know and love are starting to get afflicted with the disease in Pakistan, the Philippines, Indonesia, and parts of Africa and Australia. In response to this, scientists are now trying to breed a banana that is disease and pest resistant and also meets all the common expected requirements of a banana.
Okay, wait. There's a checklist of what makes a banana, and they just need to make sure they fill all those boxes.
Straight up, 4 check boxes.
They're like, let's engineer a thing that, by the numbers, is pretty much a banana.
Yeah. All right. So
It's not
what
a
it
dog.
needs,
It's a banana.
It's a banana.
it has to be a banana first. It needs a standard ripening cycle, so it needs to kind of grow and mature in the same amount of time as your Cavendish bananas, so as not to mess with the farmer's crop cycles and all of that. It needs to be shippable, so it needs to be a durable banana to be able to spend a lot of time on a shipping crate and not take a bunch of damage and not rot. It needs to have the scalability to grow in large quantities, so if it requires a lot of extra work or land or water, it's not a suitable replacement. And it has to taste good. So, geneticists are attempting to add genes from other fruits, vegetables, and fish to try to meet the requirements, but it's not working out. I imagine the fish is probably ruining the good taste one.
Yeah. So, like, the Cavendish is like, it's like super vulnerable right now, isn't it? Like, they're like, what are we going to do?
There's a kind of a variation of the Panama disease that was discovered in 1993 called Tropical Race 4 or TR4. And the problem with this is they're saying that over time, the Cavendish is almost certain to be eliminated from commercial production by this disease. Yep. The only known resistance to it is genetic resistance, and so that's why they're working on all these splicing.
So...
Right, because the further you go into, like, purebred banana, the less defenses they have naturally.
Right. So enjoy your bananas while they last.
Cavendish is on its way out.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to get a new banana.
Cavendish
Pretty
out.
soon. So there's this rumor that artificial banana flavoring was purposefully made to taste like the Big Mike bananas. So that's why when you're eating banana runts, you're like, this doesn't taste like a banana at all. Because, bananas just don't taste like they used to in the 50s.
You mean they don't taste like shit? Because I hate banana flavor. Like, it is the worst. Like, I avoid it like the plague. It's like, oh, banana runts. Nope, throw them in the trash.
Really? Every time?
Every time.
Yeah, I got to give it up for peach, personally.
Yep.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What's a runt?
It's a candy.
Are you
serious?
I wasn't like a candy kid growing up.
Oh, dude, they're shaped like fruit? Oh,
They're
well,
like
kind of.
They're a little bit tart, and they're hard candies, and the banana ones taste terrible, and all the other ones taste great.
There you go. Asked and answered.
And that's it.
All right.
I feel like, well, Jake, I want to jump in real quick, and I think you're overlooking probably the greatest banana virus, and that is something referred to as BBTV, or banana bunchy top virus.
Oh, yeah.
Banana bunchy top virus.
Why don't you tell us about that,
Chris?
Chris?
It's transmitted from plant to plant by aphids, and what it does is it actually stunts the leaves, and it results in a quote unquote bunched appearance. Generally, the infected plants won't produce fruit, but there's some mild strains of it that still allow for production. And when that happens, the bananas kind of they ripen far too fast, and so you just get these tiny little fingerling bananas, unedible.
Okay, so I want to actually take a pulse check.
Right.
On what ripeness stage you guys like your bananas at, because
the correct one.
Okay, so the correct one for me has some spots but isn't super brown. Is starting to ripen but isn't green. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think yellow is the acceptable banana
But
stage.
you have to have a few spots.
No,
you
want
ripeness.
According to the Chiquita Banana
softer.
song from 1943, you want it to be freckled.
Just a little bit, not too much though.
Yeah.
That was about bananas?
Yeah, that song is about bananas. So this is jumping ahead a little bit, but during World War II, shipping restrictions greatly decreased the banana consumption in the United States, and it went from, in 1939, people were eating 17.9 pounds of bananas per person, and then in 1943, no, per year, and at the same time, so in 1943. It reduced all the way down to 8.2 pounds per year. So they created a radio jingle. The United Fruit Company, which we'll get back to, created a radio jingle called Chiquita Banana to tell consumers about all the great things they can do with the fruit.
Oh,
yeah. The
that's
song
good.
rose.
That's good.
The song rose to it rose to popularity, and it was eventually it was played 376 times a day on the radio.
Wow.
Hopefully
not on the same station.
I was going to say
that's a right in a row. That's my jam.
It's a lot of saturation.
It's like 1940s radio hour, and here's the Chiquita Banana jingle for the 17th time in the last hour. I'm Chiquita Banana. And
that's like what, do you guys remember when the radio station, what was it? Not K-Day, KNAC? I think it was a rock station in Southern California. When they got bought out by this, it was bought out by a Spanish language station, and for the last day, they signed off their broadcast, and then the last, I think it was a week or a day, where they played exclusively Feliz Navidad on a loop before the Spanish-speaking station took over.
Remember that.
That song is psychological warfare.
It is.
You're wrong. It's the best Christmas song there is.
It's like a Christmas song for a classy, cultured person.
Right.
All right, but back to bananas.
Okay,
so I want to touch on something real quick about the bananas. We kind of skipped over the way that the bananas grow, and so what Jake said, where it's actually an herb. It's a plant, not a tree. A lot of people think they're trees, and it's the banana actually, it grows in the trunk, and it's called a comb. And what happens is the comb just keeps growing and growing and growing like a staff. And then once it reaches its mature height, it stops producing leaves, and it produces a flower spike or an inflorescence that's actually inside of the comb. And it grows through the comb until it finally is like ejaculated out of the tip of it. And then the fruit matures into what's sometimes referred to as leathery berries. I just wanted to get to that out because I like that they're referred to as leathery berries.
And then sometimes you've got some bananas.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
And the bananas actually grow. I think a lot of people have a misconception where they think that the banana grows kind of like out of the flower and like curves down to the ground. But what they actually do is they grow the bananas actually grow towards the sky. So they actually shoot straight up into the sky. It's pretty amazing.
It's like pineapples. Pineapples actually, the one when we look at a pineapple, you have the leaves coming out of the top. Mm-hmm. So pineapples are actually grow completely inverse of that. Like they're upside down when they're
like they're trying to jut into the ground.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, take it.
Okay. Well, that's basically it for all of my banana facts.
And so, are we both going to talk about Sam Zamori now?
No. I don't have anything about that.
Does Chris?
Fantastic.
Does Chris have any more banana facts before we go to tertiary topics?
I have a little, like, just that there's, like, similar bananas, like the scarlet banana, the Musa coquina, the pink banana, the Musa valentina, and the Fei banana, the Musa ex troglodytarium, which, as of 2013, means that they have no clue where it came from. It's a banana that they don't understand exactly how because it wasn't produced in a lab.
Banana lost to the ages.
Also, bananas are naturally radioactive due to the potassium-40 that's found within them. And oftentimes when they're trying to talk about your level of exposure to radiation, the term banana equivalent dose of radiation is used. So if, like, you're getting an X-ray done, it's like
it's a banana
50
per scale.
Banana doses of radiation.
Right.
That's a barometer?
Yeah, they glow under the black light. They're blue.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
All right. Do you want to go branch off first, or?
Yeah. So, do you guys remember that argument that a guy was making, saying that the banana is strong evidence of intelligent design and the existence of God?
I 100% don't, but I can't wait to hear it.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So, a man named Ray Comfort, a New Zealand-born evangelist, made this argument. Okay, so Ray Comfort is the guy who persuaded Kirk Cameron to become an evangelist. So, remember the 90s, Kirk Cameron started making all of those commercials, trying to get you to go to church and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So, Ray Comfort and Kirk Cameron found an organization called The Way of the Master.
Oh, no.
Still exists. They have their own radio and television shows. So, in 2006, Comfort and Cameron did a presentation video in which he describes the banana as the atheist's nightmare. And so, he holds the banana.
I'm going to start calling bananas that.
Yeah.
All right, so here's his argument. He
Gotta
says,
get me one of those atheist nightmares.
He says the banana is proof of the existence of intelligent design. He explains that upon study of a, quote, well-made banana, you will find 3 ridges on the outside of the curve and 2 ridges on the inside of the curve, and further explains that if you get your hand ready to grip a banana, you will find the shape of your hand also contains 3 ridges in the bends of your fingers and 2 ridges in the bends of your thumb.
Say what?
I'm looking at it right now, guys. It's true.
Right. So, he says,
I too have a hand.
The banana and the hand are made perfectly to go together.
That's nuts.
End of argument.
He continues on and he says that the banana has been made with a non-slip surface and has outward indicators of inward contents. If the skin is green, it's too early. If it's yellow, it's just right. And if it's black, it's too late. He then explains that the top of the banana much like a soda can, has a tab that when used to open the banana prevents the contents from squirting in your face.
Okay. So this is actually something I wanted to talk about when I knew you guys were talking about bananas, because I just knew. Okay, so for almost my entire life, I've been opening bananas the wrong way. Right? I've been opening them.
Give me this BuzzFeed article.
No, it's a BuzzFeed article, but it's true. It's super true. That the end of the banana that connects the bananas to the other bananas in the stalk is not the end that you should be opening your bananas with. And it usually results in folding the banana and the skin, like pulling the banana, squishing the banana. You're actually supposed to open the banana from the completely the other end.
No, I don't like to do that, because then the banana squirts in my face.
No, listen to me.
Oh, wait, you're talking about... Wait, I'm still not sure which ends you're talking about. Are you talking
He's
about...
talking about the bottom.
The end with the handle?
A singular banana. Okay, so there's the banana, and it has like the little stem that's like the little hard stem at the end.
Yeah, it's got its handle.
Okay, not that end.
Yeah, you hold the handle, and then you bite the little butthole.
Flip the banana over. What you do is you just squeeze it. You just squeeze the end, and it just like pops open, and then you just peel it from there.
That's my whole life.
This is the way chimps do it, and I've been doing it wrong.
Dude, I'm really not about to take advice from a monkey. So, I feel what you're saying. I feel you.
Wait, how do you open them, Jake?
Just try it next time, Jake.
All right. Look,
Go get a banana right now.
I don't have
You guys, let's all break and get bananas. Let's go break and get some of those atheist nightmares.
Get an atheist nightmare.
All right. let me continue. He's not done with the merits of the banana.
Oh, okay. Do tell.
So, he continues. Has biodegradable wrapper with perforations to make the peel easy to open, and wants you to note how gracefully the banana peel folds over the human hand as you are eating it. He mentions that it has a point at the top, the banana itself, for ease of entry, and is just the right shape for the human mouth.
I mean, I know that our podcast we curse a little bit, but this is getting
very risque.
It's
a little mature.
Last point. It's chewy and easy to digest, and even curves toward the face to make the whole process so much easier.
This is like...
So he says all this stuff, and then turns to Kirk Cameron and is like, right? And then Kirk Cameron is like, yeah, for sure. So
I'm 5.
This came out in 2000. This came out in 2006, right? So he's saying all this stuff, completely ignoring the fact that modern bananas have been selectively grown to have all of these features and to be good for humans to eat. Because a lot of wild bananas are really like woody and full of seeds, and you can't eat them. Mm-hmm. Also, stereotypically, monkeys are the one who eat a lot of bananas, so I feel this argument does more to help prove evolution than it does disprove it.
So you think they're cutting their own throats there?
Yeah. So later he retracted his argument in the video once he learned a little bit more about banana cultivation, and like tries to play it off like it was a joke, but it was not a joke.
No, yeah, that was for sure. He was like, "This is my atom bomb to finally wreck them."
Right, checkmate, atheist.
Yeah.
So on
Nice
top
try,
of making these gross misstatements about bananas, Ray Comfort also manufactures gospel tracts, which are those pieces of paper that you'll find like under your windshield wiper or left on your doorstep that have, little bits of the Bible or
Did you say manufactures?
Yeah, he
So like he owns a printer?
Yeah, he owns a printer and he creates the concepts for them, prints them out, and then distributes them, right?
All right.
So some of the ones
is this like the religious form of like fortune cookie innards?
Well, yeah, sort of.
Like
so
your windshield wipers, like the delicious cookie.
It's the cookie, yeah.
So he
but you never like your fortune?
No, never.
So he invented these fake tickets to heaven, right? It says like free ticket to heaven, and on it, it encourages you to tear it up if you don't need it. However, they're printed on polymer substrate, and they're like really, really hard to destroy. So he also invented those tracts that look like U.S. currency. And those are the ones that you'll find like on Reddit where some waitress is like, somebody left me this tip, and it'll looks like it's $100 bill, but then it's like, go to church. Like, he's the guy who invented those.
I bet it's always him posting them too.
Oh my god.
Right. So in addition to printing those gospel tracts, he published his own edited and abridged version of Charles Darwin's On the Origin of Species in 2009.
Unabridged? Wait. It was the King James version of...
Yeah, so he puts a 50-page foreword in the book detailing creationist arguments against the theory of evolution.
A 50-page foreword saying everything you're about to read is false.
Yeah.
Right, but he also deleted 4 chapters out of the book. And, like, scientists are like, he deleted the 4 most important chapters, like the ones that have the strongest arguments for the theory of evolution. He just deleted. And then when scientists called him out, he said that he deleted 4 chapters at random in order to make the book small enough to be affordable to give away.
He left in all those chapters where Darwin just says you just have to have faith that this is right.
Right.
Yeah. So in all of this, the thing that I learned that was the most interesting to me is that Ray Comfort now lives in Huntington Beach, California, and can be found open-air preaching at the entrance to the pier on PCH and Main Street.
Looks like we gotta go find him.
I have been proselytized to by this guy. And I was like, small world. And that's it.
You should bring him some bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring him a whole bunch of atheist nightmares.
So there was a group of scientists or something who...
Is he that guy that can pound the railroad spike through his nose?
No, I think you're thinking of the circus.
No. There was a guy right outside.
I was there with you. That wasn't him.
Yeah, you were.
That was not him. Well, maybe it was.
Next door.
Yeah, so that's Banana.
That's where you took Banana?
Nightmare. Yeah, I went to the Atheist's Nightmare.
All right, Chris.
And Ray Comfort.
All right, so I actually branched off of Banana.
Tell me something that's tangentially related to Banana.
Okay, so I decided to look up the Banana Man, and I got many many results.
Well, okay, wait. You just typed in Banana Man?
Yeah. I don't know. But it led me to some great things. Yeah, just the Banana Man. So there's the Banana Man was a vaudeville character created by Adolph Proper. He worked under the stage name A. Robbins. And so the Banana Man's act, it consisted of Adolph would dress as a clownish character in like a baggy tuxedo, and he would just like produce things from like apparently like from an impossible number of props he would just pull out of his baggy tuxedo.
He's the original Bag and Sag and Berry.
Yeah.
Or the original Carrot Top.
He would perform like various clown routines with the props. And so the props included, and this is like just a small list because apparently there's lots of other things. A lot of musical instruments, which he would he didn't speak during this, but he would do like reaction, like childlike reactions of joy and like in this like really nasally falsetto. But he would like produce musical instruments like clarinets and mandolins, and he would like make the noises and pretend like he was playing them.
So can you actually give me an example of the childlike joy noise?
Like he'd pull out he would pull out the clarinet and he'd be like, "Ooh," and then he'd be like, so stuff like that. He would also he was often seen producing a huge magnet out of his tuxedo. He would pull out violins, a full music stand, several watermelons, and get this, 300 bananas.
No.
Yes.
Surely not.
So he would do all of this, and his costume was also capable of doing quick transformations that would convert his like hobo tuxedo into a woman's dress, and then back again into a hobo's tuxedo in seconds.
Wow.
So this man, the New Yorker reported that the costume weighed 60 pounds when it was fully loaded, and it took him 2.5 hours to prepare for each performance. And so that's the Banana Man. He's in the Broadway musical Jumbo, and he's also in a short film, Seeing Red, that's starring Red Skelton.
Okay.
There's also another Banana Man that came up as far as being an entertainer, and it was a man named Sam Levine, born May 1881, died November 1974, and he performed as the Banana Man on Captain Kangaroo and on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Oh.
So those are the... Yeah, I don't think so.
History for this Banana Man.
So those are the entertainers that came up when I researched Banana Man, and then there was another person who came up, and his name is Sam Zamuri. Sam Zamuri was born Shemel Zamuri. He was born in the Russian Empire in what is present-day Moldova. He was born to a poor Jewish family, and they immigrated to America when he was only 14. Sam had no formal education, and his family settled in Selma, Alabama, where his uncle owned a store. That was the first place where Sam encountered a banana. So Sam became enamored with the banana. He was like, "This is fantastic. Where do these come from?" Eventually, he got involved in the banana trade in Mobile, Alabama, in 1895. And at the age of 18, he was doing a good job with his banana venture and made his way to New Orleans. Before Zamuri got to New Orleans, what would happen is the ships would come in from South America. Bananas that had ripened during transport, they would just be thrown into the ocean because they were like, these bananas won't survive the trip to where they need to go. Yeah, so Sam was Sam the Banana Man. He's on the docks looking at these people just tossing his favorite fruit into the ocean. And so he's like, "Hey, guys, knock it off. How about I pay you for these bananas that you're going to throw away, and you give them to me for cheap?" And they said, okay, so they made a deal. He took the bananas, he would get them onto rail cars, and he would sell them locally to grocers along the rail line. And he became very successful doing this. He was able to take all the bananas that were going to be thrown away, turn them over for a profit, and that's when people started calling him Sam the Banana Man. By age 21, he had banked over $100,000. And this is that's like millions of dollars in today's money.
Yeah,
so he went on, he bought a steamship with his money, and he said, "I'm going to Honduras." So in 1910, he buys 5,000 acres of land along the Cuyamel River. He later bought more land, and he kind of found himself, he was really in debt because he was still having to deal with shipping costs and all of these things. So what happened was, around this time, the governments of Honduras and Nicaragua, they were looking to reschedule their sovereign debt to the United States. At this point, United States Secretary of State Philander C. Knox, and this is not the Knox of Fort Knox, but he was involved in negotiations with bankers for J.P. Morgan and Company, and what they were going to do is they were going to go to Nicaragua and Honduras and sit in the customs office and make sure that the taxes were being collected so that everything would kind of start balancing itself out, because Nicaragua and Honduras were trying to get out of debt. Zamuri, who was in these places, was really afraid that the taxes were going to completely ruin his business. So he appealed to Knox for help. Knox said, "Hey, shut up. Just pay the taxes." So what happened is Zamuri goes back to New Orleans, which is now kind of his stateside residence, and he found the deposed Honduran president, Manuel Bonilla, who was living in exile. Zamuri then hired two mercenaries, Guy Machine Gun Maloney and Lee Christmas. So they all went with
Those
Bonilla.
Are excellent names.
Yes.
I like that.
They went along with Bonilla, and their plan was to overthrow the Honduran government and reinstate Manuel Bonilla. So Zamuri, they smuggled Bonilla back to Honduras along with a ship full of powerful weapons. Bonilla successfully returned to power in a military coup, and he set up really good land concessions and low tax rates for Zamuri, and that saved Zamuri's business. In 1930, Zamuri sold his company to the Cuyamel, or his company was called Cuyamel Fruit because they were along the Cuyamel River, and he sold it to his rival, the United Fruit Company of Boston, for $31.5 million in stock, and he retired. But then what happened?
Year? In what year?
This is in 1930.
Oh my god.
31.5 million. But at this time, the United Fruit, they suffered financially because of the mismanagement and the Great Depression. So the stock declined by 90% after it was acquired by Cuyamel was acquired by the United Fruit Company. So Zamuri got really upset, and he was like, you know what? These guys are taking the banana business and doing horrible with it. I need to come back. So he bought a controlling share of United Fruit and started voting out the board of directors. Zamuri then reorganized the company. He decentralized the decision-making and made the company profitable again. So he just took over the company and turned it around.
In 19 the
Banana Man
right there.
Yeah, Sam the Banana Man. Don't mess with him. In 1953, the U.S. State Department and the United Fruit, they went on this public relations campaign to try to get the American people and the rest of the government to think that Colonel Jacobo Arbenez, that he intended to make Guatemala a Soviet state. So Zamuri authorized Edward Benyon to launch a propaganda campaign against Colonel Arbenez, and Colonel Arbenez was the democratically elected government, but what they did was they just did this smear campaign, and they got him kicked out. So they actually ended up setting up a new government inside of Guatemala and kind of kept doing the same thing, where he'd set up these economies based on the banana, and he started taking over infrastructure, putting in all these puppets in place who would just lean out of the way and let him get away with whatever he wanted. So he was paying no taxes and getting away with everything.
All over bananas.
This is all over bananas. And this is actually where the term Banana Republic comes from. Because these are all governments that were put in place due to bananas.
Right on, dude.
So, Zamuri later on, he retired. He was the president of United Fruit in 1951, and he made really generous donations to Tulane University in New Orleans, and he actually ended up donating his residence, and that is its giant mansion that is now the president of the college's house now. So that's one of the perks. He also went on. He was involved in a lot of things. He supported Franklin Delano Roosevelt's New Deal policies, and he helped do what did he do? The Pan American Agricultural School. He donated all of these. This is another funny thing. So he donated all of these artifacts. He had this large collection of Mayan artifacts that were all discovered in his banana fields. So they were tending these banana fields, and they found all these artifacts, and then he ended up later in life donating them and looking like a philanthropist.
I never knew it went this deep.
Yeah. So that's Sam the Banana Man. And just as a side note, a similar situation happened with James Dole from the Dole Fruit Company, and but this was mostly in Hawaii, and he was known as, so there was Sam the Banana Man, who was doing all the South American banana trade, and then James Dole in Hawaii, who was known as James Dole the Pineapple King, and it was a similar situation. Okay, and one last thing about Sam the Banana Man is, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about him, you can watch Season 3, Episode 3 of Drunk History, and see Sam the Banana Man played by Thomas Middleditch, and it's an interesting episode about the history of New Orleans.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yep, so there it is.
All
Little
right.
inspiration.
Okay, bananas.
Yeah, so I was really concerned, both that we would eventually choose the same topic, which came true almost immediately.
Yeah, I was actually pretty alarmed at how quickly that doomsday scenario played itself out.
It did, but it was really good that we both chose different tangents.
I was terrified that we were both just going to talk about Sam the Banana Man, but I guess I'm just more infantile in my interests.
I don't know, man. I talked about the atheist's nightmare. So that's it for bananas. I'm putting the bow on it.
Yeah, I
All
think
right.
we were pretty thorough.
Do you guys want to take a guess at what you think mine is?
Give me a
Ballista.
clue again.
The clue is it's an ancient form of
Well,
weaponry.
was he right? It's the ballista.
It's the ballista. Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
God. All right, end the podcast. I got it.
End the podcast. Everybody
we
knows
guess it,
about
it's done.
ballistas. Okay, so the ballista was an ancient missile weapon. It launched very large projectiles at distant targets. They were usually used as anti-personnel weaponry, so for killing off people. But some larger variants were actually used for like small structural damage. Ballistas in general weren't used for like full on like castles and stuff. That's what your like trebuchets are for. Like the things that would hurl like huge stones and things like that. So the earliest mention of the ballista in literature actually occurs in the Bible.
Ooh.
And it was invented and
The only
used
book
under
you'll ever need.
The only book you'll ever need. And it was invented and used under the reign of King Uzziah, I think is how it's pronounced.
I have no idea.
It was developed from earlier Greek weapons, and it relied on some different mechanics. It used 2 levers with torsion springs instead of a prod, which is the bow part of a modern crossbow. Chris, you're probably very familiar with this because
Super familiar.
you like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The springs consisted of several loops that were made of twisted skeins. I assume that's like some sort of like animal, like tendons and stuff back then. Probably was what they used. Earlier versions projected like heavy darts and spherical stone projectiles that were huge for siege warfare. They did eventually develop it into a smaller version called the Scorpio.
Huh.
Yeah. So the early ballista in ancient Greece was actually developed from 2 weapons. And please bear with me. I'm a little rusty on my ancient Greek pronunciation. I think these 2 words are oxybiles and gastrophides or gastrophides. So as you might guess, gastrophides or gastrophides is the belly bow. It was a handheld crossbow. It had a composite rod, and it was basically spanned by bracing the front end of the weapon against the ground while placing the end of the slider mechanism against your stomach. And then you would actually walk forward to arm the weapon while a ratchet prevented it from shooting during loading. So you basically pressed into it while it was leaning into the ground, and then pulled the mechanism back.
Interesting.
And it had a series of ratchets so that you could get the tension. It basically meant it could be operated by a person of just like average strength, but it had the power to be successful against armored troops. So pretty cool.
But they called it a
average
belly
Joe.
bow because you would lean it against your belly to arm it, not that
Right.
it was used
Right.
exclusively to shoot people in the belly.
To shoot people in the stomach. Right.
Okay.
So the oxybiles was essentially a bigger and heavier construction, which employed a winch, and it was usually mounted on a
An
tripod.
ox. Oh.
A tripod on top of an ox.
Oh, exciting.
That's not true. That's not part of this. It had a lower rate of fire and was used more for the more siege type damage. So, with the invention of the torsion spring bundle technology, the first ballista was built, and the advantage of this technology was essentially the super fast relaxation time of the thing. So,
You just shoot it and then relax.
and
Just
you're
hang out.
You're like, wow, well, we're all done.
I'm really good at super fast relaxation when I get home from work.
Yep.
Right. Close the door, shoes, pants right off.
Pants off, yeah.
Yeah, you have to use torsion springs to get
And
your
then
pants off.
the shirt gets tied up into that like little like a little kid pretending he's wearing a halter top kind of thing. That's my
Yeah,
look.
that.
Oh,
Did you do that?
Yeah.
he's doing it right now. He's doing it right now.
Yeah, of course I am.
So
How
it was
are you guys
possible-
recording?
It's a hot July day. I
Yeah.
wouldn't put it past you.
Uh-huh.
So the fast relaxation time, it was possible to shoot lighter projectiles with super high velocities over a really long distance. They could be easily modified to shoot both spherical and shaft projectiles,
So
allowing
balls
their
or shaft?
balls or shafts.
Okay.
Wow, are we really at that point?
Already.
It happened.
Alrighty.
Whatever. Leave me alone, guys.
allowing their crews to easily adapt to prevailing battlefield situations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so ballistas in the Roman world. After the absorption of the ancient Greek city-states into the Roman Empire in 146 BC, the highly advanced Greek technology began to spread pretty much all over areas of Roman influence. This included the huge military machines advances that the Greeks had made, most notably Dionysus of Syracuse, as well as all the scientific, mathematical, political, and artistical developments. Artistic developments. That was dangerously close to testicle.
I know. I got it in your brain.
Yeah. No, we're going down a dark path here. So the Romans, and in the article here, there's quotes around this word. The Romans inherited the torsion-powered ballista.
I like tongue-in-cheek things in my Wikipedia articles.
Right. So it's spread to several cities around the Mediterranean. It was a far more complicated weapon than its predecessor, and the Romans developed it even further, especially into much smaller versions that could easily be carried. So tons of crossbow-style weapons. The ballista was a highly accurate weapon. In fact, there are many accounts of single soldiers being picked off by ballista operators. But some design aspects meant it could compromise its accuracy for range. So you could make adjustments to the weapon to actually increase its range in an exchange to lose some accuracy. The maximum range was over 500 yards, but effective combat range for many targets was much shorter. A notable time at which the ballista was used was the first invasion of Britain. So the very first of Caesar's invasions of Britain, and it took place in 55 BC.
And they just put a bunch of spikes through a bunch of Englishmen.
Well, did they ship them over there? Or did they build them?
So glad you asked. Actually, there was a total of 80 transports carrying 2 legions, and they were attempting to land on the British shore, but they were being driven back by the British warriors because they were just sitting there on the coastline waiting for them,
not letting the boats come up.
Yeah, try and get in here. So what the ships had to actually do was unload their troops on the beach. It was the only beach that was suitable for many miles. But there were just tons and tons of British charioteers and javeliners, which were just sitting there, just making it hard for them. So seeing this, go ahead.
No, that's just a badass idea that these people are coming with boats with these giant like crossbows. These guys are just riding horse-drawn sleds up and down the beach and throwing sticks.
Right. So when Caesar saw this, he actually ordered his warships to go a pretty far away from the actual beach and run his boats ashore on their right flank. And from that position, they were able to get their slings and their bows and artillery. They could actually use them from the decks of the ship, so the ships acted as little bases,
almost.
Little bunkers almost. And it was super successful, actually.
And all they had to do was wreck all their ships.
They had to wreck all their ships. I mean, but it worked out, and they ended up staying there for a really long time.
Prove it.
So the British people were just scared shitless by the shape of the warships and the motion of the oars. This was all super scary to them.
Nice.
And they pretty much dropped everything and retreated. So during the conquest of the empire, the ballista pretty much proved its worth many times in sieges and battles on sea and land. It was even actually used to quell riots, which is kind of terrifying.
Oh, for sure not. I think it was used to murder people.
Let's just point this giant... Yeah. It's actually from the time of the Roman Empire that many of the archaeological finds of the ballista date. So
okay.
Most of the ballista that we've found have been from the Roman Empire. And accounts by the finders included technical manuals and journals. They're actually being used today by archaeologists to reconstruct them, which is actually super awesome to me.
Yeah. All right.
So
to what end? Why are we reconstructing a ballista?
So the reconstruction of old technologies by the manuals and stuff that were found is actually a field called experimental archaeology, which I will be getting to, which is actually really cool. So essentially, there's a few other types of ballistas. There's one called the manuballista, which was a Roman handheld device made of iron, and the caro ballista. The caro ballista was a cart-mounted version of the weapon. So there were two known variants of this one. One that was on two wheels, like a chariot, and four wheels,
Like a Prius.
like a Prius. And this one actually gave the weapon like tons of mobility. It could be moved really easily with the flow of battle. And I just have to share this with you guys. I'm looking at an ancient drawing on this page of the four-wheeled version, and the way that it's depicted is with this harpoon thing like pointing straight forward right into the back of the head of one of these two horses pulling the cart.
Nice.
And the guy pulling the lever is just like way into it. And the look on this horse's face is like it looks as if it could not give two shits that it's about to be destroyed by this
That's
ballista.
why you have two horses.
Yeah.
So you can shoot the head of one of them into your enemies.
Shoot one and use the other to move the ballista.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there any time in history where that there's a recording of a ballista being used to just launch some of an atheist's nightmare at them?
Yeah, I don't feel like your article is very much about bananas.
I'm not
Yeah.
I'm really not playing the team game here and tying it into bananas.
Yeah, we did such a good job with our synergy, and here you are talking about murdering horses.
blowing it up.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I'll go into experimental archaeology now.
Please.
So experimental archaeology is a field of study which essentially attempts to test and generate archaeological hypotheses by replicating or approximating the feasibility of ancient cultures performing various tasks or feats. It employs a number of methods and approaches based on archaeological source material, such as ancient structures or artifacts. It's distinct from uses of primitive technology without any concern for archaeological or historical study. So, like, there's a lot of people that are like, I'm just going to use this old thing, right?
Yeah.
That's not experimental archaeology. Living history and historical reenactments are kind of like a cousin of experimental archaeology.
Okay.
Because they're generally undertaken as like a hobby, like Civil War reenactments and stuff. And they're essentially the non-archaeological person's version of this particular discipline. So one of the main forms of experimental archaeology is the creation of copies of historical structures using only historical accurate technologies. So building a thing with the things they had at the time, right?
Nice.
I thought that was really neat. Like, I never really considered that there was a whole field of study on this.
Is this like an official field of study, or is this more of just like a niche group of people who are like kind of pursuing this?
As far as I know, it's an actual field of study.
Awesome.
Because it gives us some insight as to maybe what our tools right now might give information, or might give information to people down the line.
Interesting.
Right? So if our hammers and our tools like are left underground for thousands of years, like it gives us an insight as to maybe what they might discern. So making copies of historical structures using historically accurate technologies, that's actually sometimes known as reconstruction archaeology or reconstructional archaeology. However, reconstruction implies that an exact replica of the past is being created when it's actually, in fact, just a construction of one person's idea of the past. The more archaeologically correct term is kind of a working construction of the past.
Yeah, it's more about process, not necessarily product.
Exactly. It's all about the process, which that's what I found most fascinating. It wasn't about the thing. It was how did they make the thing with what they had? And how did they document it? So some examples, the first thing I have here is the most notable attempts were things like creating tons of Leonardo da Vinci's designs from his sketchbooks.
Oh, Lord.
The most famous being his like armed fighting vehicle.
Yeah.
So a couple examples of experimental archaeology are attempts to transport large stones like those used in Stonehenge over short distances, using only technology that would have been available at the time. The original stones were probably moved from Pembrokeshire to the site on the Salisbury Plain. And I actually have been to Stonehenge, and they have a really cool exhibit there about what they think
The technology was?
the early people used to move. And it was like, they used like logs and stuff to roll the things, but it was actually a really, really cool exhibit. Another example is, since the 1970s, the reconstruction of timber-framed buildings has informed the understanding of early Anglo-Saxon buildings at Weststow, Suffolk, England. This extensive program of research through experiment and experience continues today.
Is sorry, to go back to the Stonehenge, the large stone moving thing. There's actually there's some videos on YouTube where he's not using necessarily like material that was only available at the time, but he is showing kind of the technology that could be used, and it's about he's moving poured concrete slabs, so they're giant slabs, because he obviously doesn't have access to multi-ton pieces of granite. But he's showing how you can pivot them with just like counterweighting, and you put like a fulcrum underneath it. And so basically you get the stone leaning on the fulcrum by slowly like rocking it back and forth and just adding material under each end. And then once it's on the fulcrum, you can actually put weight on top of it. You can spin it so that it starts like the fulcrum's not directly underneath, like right under the center, and so every time you turn it, it actually makes progress moving in a particular direction. But there's this guy, he's got videos, he's using modern stuff, but it's a pretty interesting watch.
Wow. So another example is the reconstruction of a certain section of Hadrian's Wall, and that's been carried out by local volunteers. They're just like, hey, we're gonna try and restore this wall, but only in the way that they might have done it. There have been attempts to manufacture steel that matches all the characteristics of Damascus steel, and the methods of creating that particular steel have just been completely lost for centuries. So they're trying to kind of figure out how to do that.
So do you feel, through all of this, earlier you said that it gives us insight to our current modern tools and how people in the future may look at the things that we use. Do you feel that there are tools and processes that we have in modern time that will be lost to the ages, given our proclivity for writing things down and, the internet and all that?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting because so much of our
internet don't work without
so
power,
much of our
bro.
stuff is going digital,
Right.
And a lot of stuff that we have is plastic, and plastic, as far as I know, doesn't super last. I mean, it lasts a long time, but not, I think, long enough to give people information on. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, you have to engrave everything on gold discs and just send it into space.
That's right.
Is my understanding.
Or
from Carl
engrave
Sagan.
it on like a Game Boy Advance cartridge, because we all know those will last forever.
Last forever.
Yeah.
I found a copy of Pokemon Red in the gutter when I was riding my bike back from my friend's house, and it worked. I mean, it had been smashed and probably driven over, but
This is
Nintendo...
like when Pokemon Red was contemporary.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you meant like
Does it still work?
recently.
Oh, I don't have it anymore.
One time I was riding my bike and I saw something on the ground that I'm not sure if it was beautiful or the saddest thing I've ever seen. But this was in like 2000, probably like 2013, and it was a half of a crushed audio cassette tape of the popular songs from The Little Mermaid. And I was impressed just that it survived that long, but it was being crushed in the street.
So you picked it up and put it back together and listened to it.
It was only just the one piece of the shell. I wish I had that ribbon.
The tape was gone.
Gotta get that ribbon.
Well, I know what to get you for your birthday.
All right. Well, I mean, that's pretty much it for me. I mean, ballista and experimental archaeology.
This experimental archaeology, it reminds me a lot of, I think there was an episode of Mythbusters where they were trying to make some sort of like theorized like death ray from a boat that like
oh, I saw that
Yeah.
with a big laser, and they were trying to light everything on fire.
Yeah, they were trying to light the sails of a boat on fire by shooting it with like reflected light. So Mythbusters is experimentals. I'm comfortable with that statement.
I would go ahead and lump them in there.
All right.
Did that work? I think they did it, right?
They did it, but they like had to like pour like pitch all over the ship in order for it to really kind of go up.
Well, as you know, sails of the day were always covered in pitch.
That's what I hear, because they thought that the tackiness would catch more air. We gotta get that sticky air on here, guys. And they kept saying that, didn't they? Kept saying that sticky icky.
That's how it works. Yeah, that's how it works.
The ancient Greeks, as far as I'm concerned, were like the glory days of gangster rap.
Just think about where we would be if they hadn't been sacked.
Yeah.
You know? Sticky air.
Yeah, man.
Balliste, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right.
Maybe we should end the podcast.
So there we go. Bananas, and ballistas.
God, that was a whole lot of banana.
Yeah, but how much do you know about a banana now? Not actually that much?
Not actually that much. I know a lot more about things associated with banana. Okay, go ahead, take us out.
Okay. So, thank you all for listening to the Banana Hour. Like us on Facebook. Follow and retweet us on Twitter at _WikiWikiWhat. Visit our website at wikiwikiwhatpodcast.com or send us feedback and suggestions at wikiwikiwhatpodcast@gmail.com.
At banana.com.
At banana.bananas.
We're hoping to put out an episode every 2 weeks or so, but if we find the time, we'd love to do it more often.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thank you so much.
Yes.
Next week we'll be going with the letter
C. I think that's after
C.
B. I sure
That's
hope
the one.
everyone does their article about me.
Oh my god!
Please, somebody do some research.
I can only hope this doesn't happen again.
Okay, we need to figure out a plan to hint at what we're doing without telling it.
All right. I just want to thank everyone for listening, and remember, guys, it's 3 a.m. Stop reading Wikipedia and go to bed.